Hi, I'm Jamie Shapiro. I'm from Manhattan, New York.
So, Jamie, you had a real bad date. Did you end up paying for the bill?
I didn't pay for the bill, no.
Did you give him or her a kiss?
I did kiss him.
And how long did the date actually last?
Probably about an hour and a half, give or take a half an hour for drama.
So, take me back to the beginning. How did you meet this person? How did you guys start talking?
So we met on an app, one of my only app interactions, dates that I've had. We talked for a while, and then he asked to meet up, and I said sure. And he suggested that we go to this place called Barcade, which is like a bar with an arcade. That's the name. And I had never been, so I said sure. And I showed up, everything seemed chill. We ordered a few drinks, and we were just hanging out, talking, playing some dope games. And he asked what I was into lately, and I was in college and I had just started tweeting. And so I said that I had been into Twitter.
How did you feel about his venue choice? Was it like an immediate turn off or turn on? Is that what you're into?
I am a go with I love when people love things. So I was kind of like, if that's what you're super into, like, I'm down. I think it's a lot more fun in theory. Like, I kind of like the idea in theory, but in practice, after a game or two, you're kind of like, okay, I get the gist. And, it feels like more of a fun thing to do with like a group of friends for someone's birthday or something than first date material.
So you'd rather do like drinks or dinner versus like a Dave and Buster's or Barcade?
Yeah, or even something like something a little bit more interactive, like bowling, I think is fine. Or like, it's just hard when you're both staring at a screen. I don't know. It doesn't allow for a whole lot of back and forth. Playing Pac-Man's cool, but maybe save it for your friends.
Okay, so venue choice, he might not be winning. So from there, what happens?
Okay, so we played a few games. He got me some tokens, really cool. But we sat down after playing a few games at the bar, and he ordered some drinks. He tried to order my drink for me without asking what I wanted, which was kind of red flag number one. I'm just remembering, actually. He asked what kind of liquor I liked, and then was like, "Oh, I know." And I was like, "No, I don't want that, actually." But thanks. So we ordered drinks, and we're just chatting. And he asked what I was into, and I said Twitter. And I had started tweeting, and this was, not to bring down the mood, but this was right during the Weinstein debacle and all the Me Too stuff. So I showed him my Twitter because he wanted to see it, which also a little weird, I feel like, to just sit and read someone's Twitter feed. And so he was just sitting there scrolling through my Twitter feed, and he came across a tweet that said something along the lines of, "Sad that I assume all men are guilty till proven innocent, # girly things, Matt." And he got really quiet and stoic all of a sudden. And I was like, "Oh, he's going to say something poignant." No, he didn't. He said, "You should delete that." And I said, "You should delete yourself." No, I didn't say that. But I was like, what do you mean? And he said, well, that just makes it sound like all men are bad, and they're like, I'm a good guy, yada yada, the classic # not all men argument. And I couldn't tell really if he was kidding or not, because we had kind of been joking back and forth up until then, but he was not about that tweet. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna delete it, but let's move on from this conversation. And I kind of just let it pass. Wanted to see what else he was about, kind of. So the date continued, and I was in college at this point, so he walked me back to my dorm. and he pulled the classic "Can I use your bathroom" move, which I normally wouldn't have entertained, but I knew my roommates were home, and he also was like, I have a long subway ride. And I was like, you live in Fidei, but okay. And so I let him come up, and he used the bathroom, and then I was just kind of sitting in my room, and my birth control alarm went off, and I, gotta be on a schedule with that, gotta take it the same time every day, so I wasn't about to miss it for this schmuck. So I whipped out the birth control and I just popped it, took a swig of water, chillin', and he goes, why do you take that? It's like, water? Do you mean drink water? And he said, no, why do you take birth control? Like, why are you taking that? And I said, well, mind-blowing explanation here, but because I don't want to get pregnant, maybe. And he said, yeah, but you're only gonna get pregnant if you're having like a lot of sex. So that must mean that you're having a lot of sex. Like how many people are you sleeping with? And I said, whoa, that's none of your business. First of all, second of all, what? I just didn't even know what to say. You imagine these situations, you imagine what you would say, and you think of all the things you could have said after. But in the moment, it's just so jarring hearing someone be so small brain.
Right. I mean, it seems like that could have went one of two ways. One is the way he took it, and then another way could have been like the guy, he might have thought you're trying to send him like a signal, like to get in there.
Yeah.
So,
but if he was going that route, what a weird way to try to have sex with someone, to like semi borderline slut shame them. Like, ooh, I know what'll turn her on. I'm gonna be really fucking rude. And I was like, this is just not the way. This is not the way.
Also, a religious argument was something that, like, another avenue it could have went. When I think about it, if he is religious in a way, I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking of the possible different avenues the story could have took.
Maybe, but you know what really discounts that argument is what I asked next. I was like, so do you wear condoms when you have sex? And he goes, yeah. And I said, so you must be having a lot of sex then, because you're like, if you weren't having a lot of sex, then you wouldn't use condoms. And he was like, well, no, but I'm saying, like, if you're having sex with somebody with a condom, then you don't need it was just a back and forth that had no redemption. I don't even, yeah. So it was just bad. And then I was like, kindly leave my dorm. And he left. And I kind of thought that was the end of it. But he texted me and was like, hey, like, we should hang out again. And I said, what planet are you from that you thought that was a good date? But he kept badgering me to go out again, and I kept saying, I'm busy now. I didn't really want to waste my breath having to get in an argument with somebody I knew I was never going to see again. So I just stopped. I said no, and then I stopped responding after the next couple times, and I wasn't going to get into it. But he wrote me a huge long message like a week later, going in, being like, you're so rude, like, we had a good time and you ghosted me and blah, blah, blah. And I thought we had this connection and all this stuff that I really could, I mean, what a skewed perception, but I couldn't fathom it. And so I decided to write back, because I was like, all right, I'm gonna either help this guy out by telling him this, or this will just end the conversation, and either way I'm happy with the outcome. And so I wrote him back and I said, listen, I told you no once. You didn't respect that, so it's your own fault for writing back so many times. 2, you told me that my Twitter sucked, which is like an immediate turnoff for me. Like, if you want to get in my pants, you gotta compliment my Twitter. And 3, you like semi slut shame me, which, like, if I want to be a slut, fine, but like, you don't have to comment on it. So I don't know where you thought this was going, but it's not going to another date. And that was kind of the end of it. Then he stopped responding, and I blocked his number.
Did you go to a small school where you would run into him at all?
No, I went to NYU.
Okay.
And he went to a different college anyway, but somewhere.
Perfect. So it's The odds of you running into the guy are slim to none.
No, yeah, slim to none.
Okay.
And even if I did,
Hands.
hands.
What do you think could have led him to believe that a second date was in your future? Or in
Other
his
than
future?
male entitlement. You know, I think I could have been sterner. You gotta learn as a youngin, a woman, to speak your mind and actually be definitive. I feel like I could have been clearer from the offset rather than being like, I'm busy. I could have just said, I don't want to go out with you again. But also, after 2 or 3 times of someone saying no, like, just stop texting them.
When he pulls the old, let me use your restroom.
Yeah, why did I let him up?
No. How long of a time period did that last? Like, while he was in your apartment? Like, how long was he in the apartment for?
Not long. That entire interaction probably took about like 20 minutes.
Okay, so him coming up to the apartment, I'm just trying to get in his head. What is he thinking?
Yeah. I think he thought it was going somewhere. And I would say like I was still like almost open to it at that point cuz your girl was thirsty, but post birth control conversation I was like, why do you think that this is the way to make this happen? I just think in general, why on a date, why ask somebody how many people they're sleeping with? Like, there's never a good way to insert that into the conversation.
That's not a first date question.
No, it's not. But you know.
This is the point where I will guess which app this happened on. And
Okay.
full disclosure for everyone, we were actually talking before we started recording, so it kind of slipped that it did happen on Tinder. Is this your first and last Tinder date, or did you have success or failures with it?
This was my second of 3 Tinder dates that I've ever had in my life.
What is your preference on apps specifically, or would you rather meet in real life?
I mean, I would always rather meet in real life, but given the times, that's not really the biggest possibility right now. But I think Hinge is the one that I've heard the best things about. I think it's a lot more personable than Tinder. Tinder strikes me as it's very like surface level, I think.
What attracts you most in a profile? Is it the pictures or is it the bio itself?
A sense of humor, people who don't take themselves seriously, whether it's pictures or bio. If you have a shirtless pic or a pic with a fish, it's automatically left.
So any final words, any advice you would give to someone in a similar situation as yours?
On my end of it, don't let yourself recoil. I feel like I often do that as big an outspoken person as I am. I think when I find myself in those situations, it's really easy to like feel like you're in the wrong for saying something. But I think just know who you are. Don't get into a situation and then second guess yourself. Just be yourself and speak your mind, and don't let other people shame you for anything at all, ever.
And any advice for someone in his situation?
Yeah, learn when to shut the fuck up. If you have an issue with birth control, then if somebody starts taking birth control in front of you, just find a reason to leave. You don't need to get into it.